Chosen one, they stare, don't they? Not because of what you're wearing, not because of how you style your hair or the rhythm of your footsteps as you enter the room. It's not about your look. It never was. There's something else happening, something unspoken, something unmistakable, and you feel it in their eyes, in their hesitation, in the way they pause just a little longer when you pass. At first, you thought it was coincidence. Then you wondered if it was discomfort. But now you're beginning to understand. They feel something when you walk in. They feel someone. It isn't attention, it isn't attraction, it's recognition. They may not know what it is, but their spirit does. Because your presence is different now. Whether you realize it fully or not, you are carrying something ancient, something divine, something the world cannot ignore, no matter how quiet you remain. Before we go any further, I want you to pause this moment. Take a breath. Center yourself, and if you feel this truth in your bones, if something inside you already knows, type 77 in the comments right now. Let this number become a vibration, a signal to the unseen. Yes, it's happening. I feel it. Write your intentions below. Speak life into this moment. You were not guided here by chance. Now stay with me until the very end, because what you're sensing is the beginning of something irreversible. Chosen one, there is a transformation underway, so profound, so sacred, that even you haven't fully grasped its magnitude, but others can feel it. They feel it before they speak to you. They sense it before you say a word, and sometimes they don't know what to do with it. Children grow silent in your presence. Strangers glance twice, then turn away quickly as if caught staring at something too pure to hold. Even animals move toward you, drawn not by habit, but by knowing. This isn't about popularity, this isn't about looks, this is about frequency. You've been marked, not by the world, but by heaven. There is an invisible change taking form around you, a field, an atmosphere, a spiritual pressure that bends reality as you move through it. And while you might still feel like the same you, the one who walked through dark seasons, the one who wept in silence, the one who held on when everything said, let go, you're not. The shift has already begun. The glow is active, the signal is live, and the world is responding. You've walked through the fire. But you didn't just survive, you were restructured. In it, you surrendered in the silence. You gave God permission to break, to rebuild, to breathe His breath into you. And now that breath walks with you, now that presence lives in your stillness, now that weight carries in your silence. You're not loud, but you don't need to be, because what you carry speaks louder than noise. It whispers through your movements, it hums in your energy, it pulses in the space between you and everyone else. That's why they stare. They're not seeing you, they're seeing what you've become. They're witnessing evidence, proof that a soul can be reborn in silence and return glowing. You are the afterglow of obedience. You are the residue of redemption. They see it, even if they can't name it. And some will be drawn to you, not because of what you say, but because of how they feel around you. Because your presence has become a sanctuary, a resting place, a portal. For some, you are a reminder of what's possible. But for others, you are a mirror they didn't ask to look into, and that makes them shift. Some will respond with awe, others with agitation. Some will offer kindness, others will retreat into silence. Not because of who you are, but because of what your presence awakens in them. Because the you they're encountering now doesn't fit their memory, doesn't match their expectation, doesn't apologize for shining. Have you ever stopped and asked, what is it they're actually seeing when they stare at you? It's not your face, it's what you carry. The weight of fire survived, the glow of obedience chosen in silence. You don't need to explain it anymore. Your presence is the explanation. If you feel this shift in your spirit, comment below. I'm not the same, and I won't apologize for it. Type 77 to mark this moment as sacred, and if something within you said yes, subscribe. Because this isn't a message, it's the beginning of everything changing. Chosen one, you've outgrown the atmosphere they knew you in. You're walking in a light that's no longer dimmable. You're carrying a resonance that doesn't allow for pretense. And people feel that. They feel the fire. They feel the stillness. They feel the weight. You don't need to convince. You don't need to perform. You don't need to defend. Because when presence is pure, it explains itself. Chosen one. It starts quietly, before the stairs become obvious, before the atmosphere bends, before words begin to fail. It begins inside of you. An uneasiness, a shift, a realization that you're no longer moving through life unnoticed, even if you're not. Trying to be seen, you feel it in the way people pause mid-sentence when you enter, in the way their body shifts toward you before their mind registers why. It's not attention, it's awareness. And that awareness isn't about your clothes, your speech or your timing. It's about what you carry and how clearly heaven has made it visible. You've become a walking announcement of something divine, but not loud, not performative, just undeniable. This presence didn't arrive overnight. Wasn't gifted in a moment. It was built in silence, crafted in hiddenness, poured slowly into you during the seasons no one else wanted to enter. And now, the presence you carry isn't something you switch on. It just is. You don't force it. You don't flaunt it, and still, they stare. Because they're not looking at what you say, they're feeling what you survived, and that feeling sits heavy in the air like incense from an altar no one can see, but everyone senses. You've become evidence, not of talent, but of transformation, not of charisma, but of consecration. And chosen one, that kind of presence speaks even when you don't. Write this in the comments. I don't need to be seen to be felt. Type 77 if you've started noticing how your silence has more weight now than your words ever did. Let this be your confession. You are no longer seeking the room. The room is watching you. Not because you're louder, but because your life has become language, and what it speaks can't be ignored. There is something sacred about this stage of becoming, where people react to you based on what their spirit recognizes, even if their mind can't name it. It's why some lean in without knowing. Why? It's why others step back without meaning to. You have become a mirror, a measure, a moment they weren't prepared for. And you didn't do anything, you just walked in. That's the weight of obedience. That's the cost of transformation. You are not imagining it. That energy you feel when someone locks eyes with you, that hesitation, that strange respect wrapped in confusion, that's confirmation. The spiritual realm knows who you are. It recognizes what's been built inside of you. And when heaven recognizes someone, earth cannot help but react. You don't need to prove your process. Your presence already carries the residue of fire. You don't need to recite your story. Your stillness echoes every valley you crossed. You don't need to compete, because what's on you is not the result of striving. It's the result of surviving, and surviving well. Chosen one. This isn't just a shift in how you walk. It's a shift in what walks with you. And when you walk with presence, rooms notice, people listen. And even those who don't believe begin to feel. Not because you're trying, but because your life has become the sermon they didn't know they needed to hear. Let them stare. Let them whisper. Let them pause. You don't need to shrink. You don't need to explain. You don't need to defend the glory that God has decided to make visible. You were hidden once, but that season is over. Now you carry something that is meant to be seen, even when you don't want it, even when you try to downplay it. It shows anyway, because it's not from you, it's through you. And what comes through the soul cannot be dimmed by external. Silence, chosen one. Not everyone will celebrate your light. Not because it's too loud, not because it's too proud, but because it reveals what they've hidden too long. When you walk into a room now, the air shifts. You don't announce yourself. You don't demand attention. You simply exist, and that alone causes tremors. People don't always know what they're feeling. They'll say things like, "There's something about you." Or they'll go quiet when you speak, stumble over their words, break eye contact, not out of disrespect but out of recognition. Their soul is reacting even when their mind hasn't caught up yet. You've become a mirror, and not everyone is ready to look into one. You've noticed it, haven't you? The subtle coldness in familiar voices, the way some people grow tense in your presence, the friends who used to feel like home now, walking like strangers in your atmosphere. It's not rejection, it's reflection. You haven't done anything wrong. You haven't grown arrogant or distant. You've simply become clear, and clarity, beloved, is disruptive because people are used to fog, to noise, to hiding behind masks, to calling dysfunction normal, to living in fragments and pretending it's peace. But you carry something else now. You carry stillness, you carry alignment, you carry truth, and truth, even when unspoken, is loud. There was a time when you made yourself smaller so others could feel safe. You would silence your spirit just to avoid making others uncomfortable. You would soften your knowing, dull your edges, blend in, dim down. But not anymore. Now your energy speaks before your words do, and what it says is simple. I'm not who I was, and I will not apologize for who I've become. There are some who will walk away from you, not because they hate you, but because they hate how much you remind them of what they could be if they stopped hiding. It's not your job to fix that. You are not responsible for people's comfort in the face of your calling, and yet you may feel it, the ache of being misunderstood, the sting of being avoided, the weight of becoming more visible and less accepted. Let it ache, let it sting, then let it go. You were not reborn to be everyone's favorite. You were refined to carry frequency. Your glow was not gifted to you, so you could explain it. It was placed on you, so you could walk into places where performance used to reign and become the interruption. You are not strange. You are not intimidating. You are not too much. You are precise. You are what truth looks like when it finally stops waiting for permission. Chosen one, this is what divine presence does. It shakes, it stirs, it rearranges the atmosphere. You'll find people reacting to you without knowing why. Some will be drawn, magnetized by your stillness. Others will retreat, unable to sit in the same room with the energy you now carry. Don't chase the ones who leave. Don't water down your frequency to be understood. Instead, honor the vibration that found you, the energy you didn't invent, you inherited. Not because you were loud, but because you were willing, because you said yes when no one else could hear the conversation you had with God in the dark, and that yes changed everything. Write it in the comments. I will no longer dim what God has lit in me. Type 77. If you know this shift is real, if you've felt the tension, if you've seen the reactions and still chosen to rise, let this be your declaration, not against anyone, but in honor of what is holy within you. Your presence is no longer neutral. It doesn't blend, it doesn't vanish, it doesn't conform, it reveals. And not everyone wants to be revealed, but that is not your concern. You were not called to be liked, you were called to be light. Chosen one, you don't need to explain the shift, because the room already feels it before you even open your mouth. That quiet when you enter, that pause in someone's conversation, the way they glance sideways as if your presence pulled their attention without asking for it. It's not personal, and yet it is. It's not about you, but everything you carry, what you radiate now, doesn't need an introduction. It doesn't ask for permission. It just arrives, and that arrival shakes things loose. Not because you're trying to stir anything, but because your presence refuses to make itself smaller for comfort. You have become the proof that transformation is real, and not everyone is ready to face that truth. Your silence says more than your old explanations ever did, and some people feel challenged by that. Because when you no longer justify your glow, they have no excuse left to keep hiding from theirs. You're not showing off, you're showing up, and that distinction is what sets the atmosphere on edge, because you are no longer apologizing for the oil on your life. You are no longer negotiating your peace for access. And so they stare, they pause, they shift, some with wonder, some with resistance, but either way, they feel it. They can't not. You carry truth now, and truth never sits quietly in a room full of performance. You were once easy to be around because you made yourself easy. You muted your knowing. You downplayed your discernment. You made space for noise by silencing your own voice, but no more. Now you take up your rightful space. Not with arrogance, with authority. And that authority was forged in fire. They don't see what you survived. They don't know the prayers that broke you open. They don't feel the weight of the nights when God reshaped your identity in secret, but they see the result. They sense the evidence, and they either lean in or they leave. Let them. You are not here to chase anyone who can't breathe in the clarity you now carry. You are not responsible for comforting those who are uncomfortable in the presence of unshakable peace. And yes, you may be misunderstood, you may be called distant, you may be labeled cold, but only by those who need you to shrink so they can stay the same. Let your presence do what it was designed to do. Let it separate, let it sanctify, let it signal, because this version of you does not walk in rooms to be accepted. You walk in with assignment, with stillness that speaks, with purpose that pulses under your skin. And the ones who are meant to walk with you will not flinch in that presence. They will feel called, not chased. Write it in the comments. My presence is not a performance, it's alignment. Type 77. If you've felt the quiet shift, if you've noticed the awkward silences, the longer stares, the sudden withdrawals, let that be confirmation that what you're feeling is real. You are not imagining the change, you are embodying it. The rooms that once embraced your silence now resist your voice, not because you've become loud, but because you've become clear. And clarity is disruptive when people have built their peace on what was false. Chosen one, you are not who you were, and your presence knows it, so let it speak. Even if no one understands, even if no one claps, even if you stand alone in the knowing, your presence is the prophecy now, and it's already being fulfilled. Chosen one, this is not just energy, this is assignment. You are not merely glowing, you are radiating something that was designed not to impress, but to instruct. Your presence has become a message. And even in your silence, it speaks. You may have wondered why people shift around you, why even without effort, their voices falter, their plans shift, their masks begin to tremble. It's because what you carry is not meant to blend, but to disrupt. You've become a signal, a spiritual frequency sent out into a world drenched in noise. And noise cannot stand still in the presence of alignment. There was a time when your presence didn't stir much. You went unnoticed, unacknowledged, overlooked. But that wasn't because you were empty, it was because God was hiding you. He kept you sealed, protected, guarded, because what you were being prepared to carry could not be tampered with prematurely. But now, the seal has been broken, the oil has been poured. The radiance has been made ready, and heaven is no longer concealing what it once protected. You are no longer invisible. You are a reveal, a divine release, a spiritual prototype. Not a product of charisma, but a carrier of consecration. You didn't rise by chance. You rose by refinement, and now your very essence releases an atmosphere. People don't just hear your words anymore. They feel your alignment. They sense your conviction, even when you speak gently. They feel the depth of where you've been even when you don't share your story. Because the story is in your stillness, the evidence is in your gaze, the anointing is in your restraint. You don't argue anymore because your peace speaks volumes. You don't chase anymore because your presence draws what's divine and dissolves what isn't. Chosen one, This is not ordinary favor. This is divine function. You are walking through rooms as an agent of shift, and some feel that as peace, others feel it as exposure. Because what you carry unlocks truth, not with force, but with frequency. Write it in the comments. I am not just seen, I am sent. Type 77 if your presence has become a quiet command in rooms that once ignored you. Let this moment be marked as the chapter where you stopped wondering and started walking in the certainty of your calling. Because this is no longer about who accepts you. This is about who's ready for what you carry, and many are not. Not because they're bad, but because they're unprepared. Your light demands readiness. Your energy speaks to destiny, and not everyone is tuned into that frequency. Let them shift. Let them stare. Let them step back. You are not a storm. You are alignment walking. You are not here to make others comfortable. You are here to awaken the parts of them that comfort has lulled to sleep. And yes, this level of presence comes with isolation, with questions, with misunderstanding, but it also comes with clarity, with purpose, with divine partnership. It comes with knowing that even when no one claps, heaven already applauded the day you decided not to hide anymore. Chosen one, you're not just shifting atmospheres. You are the atmosphere. What used to enter rooms with noise now enters with silence, and silence that carries truth is louder than applause. You've become the quiet revelation in a world addicted to display. And yes, some will question it, some will mock it, some will envy it, some will follow it without knowing why, but you don't move for their validation. You move because you were released, and released ones don't perform, they walk. Chosen one, they stare. But not every stare is admiration. Not every smile is sincere. Not every invitation is alignment. As your glow expands, as your frequency increases, as your silence begins to echo louder than voices ever could, you must understand something sacred. Visibility is not the same as safety, because your presence no longer whispers. It announces, and the atmosphere is responding. But not all attention is holy. Some are staring to study, some are staring to steal, some are staring because they sense the fire but are not ready to be refined by it. And you must discern the difference. This new version of you, the one that doesn't beg, doesn't prove, doesn't shrink, is not for everyone to access. You are no longer common, you are consecrated, and with consecration comes boundaries, not walls of fear, but gates of reverence. You do not protect your energy because you're paranoid. You protect it because it's precious. What you carry now is weighty. It is holy, it is expensive, and not everyone is meant to hold it. There will be those who try to mimic your glow, who ask too many questions, who lean in close, not to honor, but to gather. And you will feel it, in the way your stomach turns, in the way the conversation shifts, in the sudden heaviness that falls over your body. That is discernment. Listen to it. You are no longer available to be studied. You are not a display. You are not for consumption. You are a living altar, and not everyone should have access to sacred space. Write this in the comments. I protect my peace like it's my purpose. And type 77 if you've begun to feel the weight of guarding what God has placed inside you. Let it be known, not to others, but to yourself. You no longer entertain what drains. You no longer welcome what wounds. You no longer apologize for what keeps you whole. This is not arrogance, it's stewardship. And chosen one, you are now a steward of presence. You may feel guilty at first, for saying no, for stepping back, for not explaining why your circle is smaller, your conversations shorter, your tolerance thinner. But that guilt is not truth, it is residue. Residue of a time when being available meant being valuable, of a season where access was mistaken for love. But now you understand. Love doesn't demand your glow only to smother it. Real connection doesn't require you to bleed to be believed. Your presence now filters, and filters are necessary when the oil is flowing. There will be moments when people will mislabel your silence. They'll call it distance, call it coldness, call it superiority, but they don't understand, and they don't have to. Your silence is not a barrier. It is a sanctuary, a space where your spirit breathes freely without manipulation or performance. Let them misunderstand you. Let them call it what they want. Because clarity often offends those who have built their identity in confusion. You are not here to be studied. You are here to shift. You are not here to explain. You are here to embody. You are not here to keep everyone comfortable. You are here to remind them of the comfort that only alignment can bring, and that makes people uncomfortable. So yes, they will stare, some will admire, some will be inspired, some will plot, some will retreat. Let them. You do not belong to their gaze. You belong to the one who lit the flame in you when no one else saw your ashes. Chosen one, you are no longer hidden. But that does not mean you are unguarded. Visibility does not equal vulnerability. You can be seen and still be safe. You can be radiant and still be reserved. You can be public and still be protected. Because now your glow comes with covering. And that covering is discernment. You don't say yes quickly anymore. You don't sit at every table. You don't walk into every room with your spirit exposed. You've learned. You've been burned. You've been broken. And from that pain came wisdom. Now you move differently, not out of fear, out of knowing. Chosen one. You were never meant to be open to everything. There is a reason your spirit tenses when certain people look at you too long. There is a reason your soul flinches when you step into certain rooms. Your discernment is not paranoia. It is protection. Because when God places something pure inside of you, He does not expect you to leave it exposed. You are not a display. You are a temple, and not everyone is meant to walk into holy places casually. You've felt it. That's subtle. Discomfort when a conversation shifts, when a compliment feels rehearsed, when a question feels more like an extraction than connection. That's the spirit whispering, this moment is not safe, this attention is not aligned, this access is not holy. Listen, because what you carry now cannot afford contamination. You are not being dramatic. You are being spiritually responsible. The ones who are meant for you will never need full access to violate peace. They will approach with reverence. They will honor the glow, not reach to possess it. You must remember this. God is not just elevating your appearance. He is expanding your atmosphere. And with that elevation comes responsibility. You cannot sit at every table. You cannot explain to every face. You cannot entertain every invitation, because not every spirit is seeking your company. Some are only seeking your glow. And glow without boundary invites burnout. But protected presence, that sustains destiny. Write it in the comments. My energy is sacred. I do not hand it out. Type 77. If you've started sensing who is drawn to you with peace and who is drawn to you with motive, let your discernment be your compass. Let your silence speak what words never should have to. You do not owe availability to eyes that only came to study. You do not owe your spirit to conversations that leave you empty. You are no longer on the shelf. You are on assignment, and assignment requires clarity. Chosen one, this doesn't mean you walk in fear. It means you walk in awareness, because you are not paranoid. You are awakened. You see more, you sense more, you carry more. And what you carry now deserves covering. Even Jesus withdrew from the crowd. Even prophets hid in caves. Even glory requires rest. So do you. The staring will continue. The whispering will increase. But your response must be different. Not defensive, not insecure, just anchored. You do not respond to noise. You respond to spirit. Chosen one, have you noticed? The ones who remain around you now, they feel different. They don't demand. They don't drain. They don't ask for explanations, just to accept your light. Because your presence has become a filter. not by force, but by frequency. You don't need to sort through people anymore. Your energy does it for you. There was a time when you tried to explain yourself to everyone, tried to soften the edges, tried to make yourself small so others wouldn't feel confronted by your shine. But those days are over. Now what you carry says what your mouth no longer needs to. You walk in light, and light always separates. Some people suddenly stopped reaching out. Some invitations faded. Some rooms no longer feel warm, but don't misread it. That's not rejection, that's divine filtering. When God wants to purify your environment, He upgrades your presence so that what is false no longer feels comfortable. You don't even need to speak. Just showing up shifts everything, and it's not because you've become harsh. It's because you've become clear. Clear people unsettle confused spirits. Now people either feel drawn to you or exposed by you, and you are not doing anything. You're not judging. You're not performing. You're simply being, and that being is what disrupts the masks others wear. Because truth, even in silence, shakes what has been built on falsehood. And chosen one, you don't even realize how many souls have been quietly activated just by being near you. Write this in the comments. My presence filters. I let it. Type 77. If you've begun to witness how energy now does the talking, let this be your reminder. You don't need to explain why people shift around you. You don't need to justify the changes in who stays and who leaves. Your presence is sorting, your vibration is organizing, your alignment is attracting what is real and repelling what is not. This is how God works. He doesn't always remove people. He makes the environment too holy for what's not meant to stay, and instead of fighting to hold on to what's dissolving, you're learning to release with grace. Some of them didn't leave because you changed. They left because they couldn't survive in what you became, and that's okay. You were not refined to remain available to every spirit. You were awakened to become selective, not because you are better, but because you are now aligned. Now the right ones are finding you. Without effort, without striving, without performance, they're drawn to your stillness, to your softness, to your strength. They don't need explanations. They understand without words, because they're vibrating at a frequency that no longer conflicts with your own. And you'll notice something. With them there is no heaviness, no confusion, no draining conversations, just peace, just clarity, just knowing this is not magic. It's alignment, and alignment always calls in its match. The people who are entering now, they are not guests. They are divine echoes, carriers of light, recognizers of glory, confirmations that what you carry was never too much, it just needed the right room. But don't be surprised if with every soul drawn to your light, there are still those who flinch, because light always reminds shadows that they can no longer hide. And that's why you'll keep seeing both the pull and the push. Some will stare with reverence, others with resentment. Let them both happen. You are not here to control reactions. You are here to stay anchored in truth. Chosen one. You've become a line in the sand, a silent threshold, a walking call to honesty, and people either rise to meet it or retreat. Either way, you don't lose, because your presence has become your prayer. Your posture has become your protection. Your frequency has become your fortress. You no longer need to perform discernment. You embody it. Chosen one, you're not just glowing anymore. You've become the call, not a suggestion, not an idea, a call. One that reaches into rooms before your body does. One that lingers in atmospheres long after you've left. One that stirs spirits without a single word spoken. You didn't ask for it, but heaven assigned it, and now it cannot be reversed. You may feel the weight of it at strange times, in silence, in stillness, in conversations that used to feel light, but now feel too thin to carry your truth. You may find yourself withdrawn from places that once welcomed you. You may sense how everything around you reacts before you've even said a word. This is not discomfort. This is divine movement. Your presence now walks ahead of you. It speaks before your mouth does. It filters, it calls, it shakes, it reveals. You are no longer just seen, you are sent, and what has been placed upon you demands more than protection. It demands obedience. There are assignments waiting in your silence, people who will never read scripture, but will read the truth in your posture. Spirits who will be stirred not by sermons, but by the steadiness of your gaze. You don't have to do anything spectacular. You just have to be real, because in a world drunk on performance, your authenticity sobers the room. You don't carry charm. You carry truth. You don't perform confidence. You carry authority, and not the kind that shouts, the kind that stills storms. Simply by being, write this in the comments. I walk as the call, not as a guest. Type 77 if you feel the weight of your presence growing, if you felt the shift from being seen to being recognized. Let this be your witness. You have crossed a threshold, not by choice, but by transformation, and what's been transformed cannot return to what it was. You've become the kind of presence that moves people into honesty, even when they weren't looking for it, even when they weren't ready. You are not the answer, but you carry the question that opens doors people tried to seal, the question that breaks the silence they thought was safety. You reveal possibility simply by standing in truth. This is why you feel so much. The atmosphere knows you, the spiritual realm reads you, before a word passes your lips, and what's happening around you now is not chaos. It's confirmation. The stares, the pauses, the tension, they are not resistance. They are recognition. You have been seen, not by the world, but by heaven. And when heaven sees, earth must respond. There will be rooms where your presence feels too heavy for some. There will be moments where your silence feels too loud. There will be doors that open without you knocking, because your presence now announces you. You are no longer available for noise. You are tuned for clarity. You are not called to impress. You are wired to impart. This is not charisma. This is consecration. Chosen. 1. You may have felt alone in this shift. The more your light expanded, the fewer people could stand in it. But this was never punishment. It was positioning. You were never meant to walk with the crowd. You were meant to carry something sacred, and sacred things must be guarded, refined, unveiled at the right moment, and that moment is now. You carry legacy now. You carry evidence. You are the afterglow of a quiet obedience few ever saw, and now the world responds, not because it understands you, but because it recognizes the one who sent you. The gaze you feel on your life. It's not about attention, it's about alignment. It's about being in the right place, at the appointed time, with the right presence. You no longer have to seek approval. You walk with permission. You no longer shrink under pressure. You carry weight. And this weight, it is not a burden, it is an honor. The gaze of the world may follow you, but the gaze of heaven goes before you, so move accordingly. Chosen 1. By now you've noticed it. This isn't just about you being different. This is about everything around you responding differently because of you. You don't just walk into spaces anymore. You alter them. You don't just speak anymore. You recalibrate the room, not with volume, but with alignment. You were never meant to be passive in presence. You were meant to be disruptive in the most sacred way. Even your silence is charged now. Your stillness carries voltage. People don't just hear you, they encounter what shaped you, and that encounter is undeniable. Some will walk away, some will get quieter, some will begin confessing things they never meant to say. It's not random, it's resonance. Your life has become a tuning fork for what is true. The sound you carry reaches frequencies that expose the false, illuminate the hidden, and wake the asleep. And it doesn't come from personality, it comes from process. This is what heaven does. It sends evidence not to prove something, but to reveal something. And chosen 1, you have become evidence. Not everyone will name it, but they will feel it. You'll see it in their pause. You'll hear it in their hesitation. You'll feel it in the weight of the room. the moment you arrive. That's not ego, that's assignment. You were given this frequency because there are those who will only find truth when it walks in quietly, without announcement, without performance, just presence. And your presence, the one forged in silence, is the answer to prayers you never heard being spoken. Write this in the comments. My presence is the evidence of my obedience. Type 77 if you understand now why the atmosphere shifts. Let this be your seal, your quiet declaration you are not just awakening. You've been unveiled, and what's been unveiled must not be covered again. There is a responsibility now to walk with care, to move with clarity, to live like the message you carry matters, because it does. You no longer walk as a person only, you walk as a signal. Not everyone will understand what that means. Not everyone is meant to, but those who are called to your light will hear you before you speak, feel you before they greet you, and align with you without needing explanation. You are not common anymore. You've been refined too thoroughly to live casually. So let your posture preach, let your movement declare, let your eyes hold the fire that was born in the night you thought no one saw. Heaven saw, and now the world feels it.